Well, if it's Thursday morning, it is time for another About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series episode. I'm Steve Casillo. Appreciate you being here today. You are doing probably one of three things right now. Watching live on Facebook, or number two could be watching the video replay on either YouTube or LinkedIn, or number three, you are listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. In any event, appreciate you being here today. It's 4th of July weekend, and as I've mentioned to my guest in this episode, he is our friendly neighborhood arborist, Cameron Scott. I've mentioned to him many times that I don't know a homeowner in Mansfield that doesn't own a tree, and so that's why we bring him on each week with these 10-minute nuggets of information to talk about the health and well-being of your trees. And today, we're talking about something I've never heard of, and I do own an oak tree, and it's called oak wilt. And first of all, Cameron, welcome back to About Mansfield.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
And again, you're in your car. You are a man about town, and today finds you where?
So today I am in the heart of Arlington off Park Row West. A little bit later today, I'll actually be down in Mansfield off Matlock in a neighborhood called Fairways at Walnut Creek.
Aha. Yeah, right around the corner from me.
Oh, really?
And if
Very
I
good.
wasn't hopping a plane this afternoon, I'd invite you over for a cup of coffee or something a little stronger.
Sounds good.
But today is a half work day, and nonetheless, we're going to start our 4th of July weekend early. All right, oak wilt. Let's start out with the basic. What is oak wilt?
So oak wilt is a vascular wilt disease caused by a fungal pathogen that affects tree species in the oak genus. How it works is it's a fungus that infects the vascular system of your trees. So it basically gets in there, starts spreading, and then over time it starts blocking the passageway for water, and the tree effectively dies of thirst.
Is this similar to? I know that. What is the? It's on the tip of my tongue. What you hold over the head? Mistletoe. Is this similar to mistletoe?
Oh, not at all. Actually,
Not at
mistletoe
all.
is very
Wrong
mistletoe is
again,
actually
Casillo.
it's pretty benign actually. It's not as big as a problem as that people think. Maybe next week that we can talk about mistletoe, but no, oak wilt is actually a pretty devastating disease, and pretty much every tree that gets oak wilt will die from it. It's similar to Dutch elm disease in the north that affects American elms and red elms, stuff like that.
All right. So yeah, when you mentioned a fungus or fungi, that if I think mistletoe is also a fungi as well, but
Yeah.
okay, it is not related. How you'd mentioned that it chokes off the tree from water and moisture. How does oak wilt spread?
So oak wilt, it lives in the living tissue of trees, and it actually spreads pretty slowly. However, whenever it comes up in new pockets, it usually spreads pretty rapidly. So it spreads three main ways. The first and most primary way it spreads is through root grafting. So if you have a cluster of oaks in close proximity to each other, they're going to be kind of sharing a root system. They're going to be their roots are going to be like kind of rubbing up against each other. They're going to be kind of talking to each other, sharing nutrients, that kind of thing. And through those graft points, oak wilt will spread. The second way is by flying beetles. So beetles are attracted to, if a tree has a wound, it's bleeding sap a little bit, not even really bleeding sap. It's just an open wound that the beetles are attracted to. They can land on that wound. The oak wilt spores will get on the insect's legs. The insect will go to a different tree and it'll spread that way. The third way, most problematic way, is by people. So these companies come through during the growing season, go to an oak wilt infected area. um, pick up the spores on their pruning tools, go to a different area, and then start pruning another oak without washing their tools. And then next thing you know, that area now has oak wilt.
The importance of keeping your tools clean from job to job.
Right. Right.
All right. And of course, then that leads to the next question, not only keeping your tools clean, but what can you do to prevent the spread of oak wilt?
So to prevent the spread of oak wilt is really pretty difficult. Oak wilt as a whole is kind of a newer player here in DFW area. It's kind of an emerging problem. It's been a really bad year for it, especially in southwestern Fort Worth. But places like Austin, San Antonio, they've been doing it for a few decades now. And actually, they have giant billboards that even say "Stop Oak Wilt Now."
Huh.
We're not quite to that much of a problem yet, but I mean we're getting there. So to answer your question, to stop the spread, there's a few different ways. First way is called root trenching. So if you have a confirmed infected tree, you can trench around that tree to break off any graft points from any surrounding trees. That is very invasive, very labor intensive, and it doesn't always work because we can't know how deep those roots are actually going. It's very, I think, pretty ineffective in grasping at straws, really. Third way, or second way, sorry, is to only prune oak trees in the non-growing season. So growing season would be defined as from March until October. The beetles kind of life cycle as they go from tree to tree really is May through September. So that leaves you October through April to get your pruning done on your oak trees. The idea being that we're not going to create any fresh wounds for the beetles to land on, and we're not going to spread it around by not cleaning our tools because we're not pruning oak trees in the summer.
Okay, oak wilt. How does one know that their tree has oak wilt? Is it something that the leaves are usually the thing that tells the story, but is it
right?
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways. I'll start off by saying that not oak wilt doesn't affect all oaks the same. There's kind of two classes of oaks: the red oak group and the white oak group. Oaks in the red oak group, including live oak, shoe-marred oak, and Texas red oak, are very susceptible to the disease and will die pretty quickly from it. Those in the white oak group have shown some resistance. They can still get it, but it's just not as big of a problem. I think it's probably important to not prune white oak stuff like post oak, bur oak, chinkapin oak until the fall as a precaution. But if it's absolutely necessary, you absolutely have to get these trees pruned. We do what we can.
Sure.
Yeah, I forgot the original question. Sorry.
And an arborist will be able to help you out with number one, identifying oak wilt and really what to do. Do, especially if it's in the spring summer when it's not really time to prune. An arborist will be able to help you through that process.
I think I remembered. So to identify, it's going to resemble symptoms of water stress because that's what's happening. The tree isn't able to transport water as efficiently. So on your shoe-marred oaks and your Texas red oaks, the margins of the leaves are going to turn brown. And then over a course of, just a few months, that tree will die. Live oaks are a little bit different. They have what's called veinal necrosis, where the veins will start to die. It's very identifiable. And I sent you a kind of a PDF that kind of goes over oak wilt and what to look for. But the most important way to identify oak wilt is just be aware of what's going on in your community and be proactive about it. So if you know you have an oak wilt problem, it's best to just take that tree out to protect the surviving oaks. There is a treatment available for oak wilt, but it's not going to reverse symptoms. It's just going to kind of keep things at a status quo. If what I've always been taught, if you have a red oak that has oak wilt, it's better to just remove that tree because it's just not going to recover. in order to stop the spread to say live oaks or something like that.
You mentioned the PDF. We will put that in the show notes. We will also add a link to that PDF in all of the comments, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, and on the About Mansfield Facebook page. So listeners will have a chance, or viewers here, if you're watching the video, have a chance to take a look at the PDF that Bartlett Tree Experts put together on oak wilt. You, as always, a font of information, and appreciate it. If people had more questions about oak wilt and what to do with it, how can people reach out to Cameron Scott?
Absolutely. You can give my office a call at 817-656-8733 or shoot me an email at cscott@bartlett.com.
It's Cameron Scott, your friendly neighborhood arborist, and it's 4th of July weekend. You doing anything fun?
Just going down to San Antonio to visit some in-laws, so it should be a good time.
That sounds like fun to me. Well, let's do this again next week.
All right, sounds good.